right, good morning, everybody. We are going to go ahead and get started. And this event is being recorded and it will be shared on our YouTube and our Facebook once it's been concluded. My name is Allison. I know Aurelis usually hosts, but I'm filling in for her today. I'm a physical therapist assistant at TurningPoint. And I want to welcome everyone and thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, again, please type them in the Q&A or the chat box, either one. I'll be manning them both and we'll answer them as the time permits. But we'll go ahead and get started with the presentation. And this is Lisa, our dietitian.
All right, good morning or almost afternoon to everybody. Today we're going to just talk a little bit about New Year's resolutions and how to make them, and actually the biggest part of that is how to keep them. So Allison, I'm going to put this slide out here. I don't know if we do this at the end, but these are our sponsors, our socially responsible sponsors. And if we need to, I can bring them back up on the back end if you want me to. So let's go ahead and start. Okay, so we're leaving that dreaded 2020 behind and jumping into 2021. You know, I remember in 2019 just thinking like, wow, 2020, like it's going to be such an epic year and so many great things are going to happen. And things happened all right. I don't want to consider them great, but you know, with the pandemic, you know, I do feel there was some good that came out of that. Us becoming more responsible in different ways, but also with that pandemic came a lot of people staying at home, a lot of people getting out of their regular routine, out of their habits, not going to the office, not being able to go to the gym, a million and one different things that are not able to do. So, hence we fell off the target or fell off our routine. So how I make New Year, or how I would like people to make New Year's resolutions is, we reflect back on what happened in the year prior and we just want to go forward. And if we look at the track record, unfortunately, like how long do most of you think that a New Year's resolution lasts? And the unfortunate truth is like the middle of February, and that's being generous. A lot of the times they, like at the end of January, people start falling off. The resolutions, about 80% of them really are gone by that second week in February. So what our goal is, and here we are in the middle of January at that critical point, like I made all these resolutions and I've lost my energy to keep them. So we're gonna talk about a little bit why they don't last or what happens, and then how to make them more realistic and go forward. Okay, so at the beginning of the year, most resolutions, I think everyone knows this, we hear it all the time, 71% roughly, these are rough numbers, really revolve around like weight loss and fitness, okay? Especially this year, these are not numbers from this year, but I can pretty much with all confidence say that this year, I feel a higher number is focusing on the weight loss, just hence the epidemic and the weight gain during the epidemic. The Rona 10, or Rona 15, or Rona 20, I hear it all different gamuts, I guess, based on what we all gained. And then the fitness end of everything. Like I had said, some people were used to, working out at the gyms. Gyms were closed. Now gyms are reopening in different parts, different states, and we have to wear masks and all that. And they're like, I don't even want to bother. I mean, it's too much to deal with. So, and then the risk of getting infected. So anyway, weight loss, fitness tends to be really high on that. 27% roughly want to improve their overall physical health by eating better. Okay, they're not even saying weight loss. They're not even saying fitness. They just want to improve their physical health, and that is the one that I really like to focus on. I'd love for people to focus on that. Those when we look at it, that gap or that goal or that resolution, that is, there's many ways that we can achieve that goal. For all of you here at Turning Point, I mean, we all want to have improved physical health. I mean, we have been through, or you have been through, a diagnosis, a horrific diagnosis of cancer, and been through that treatment, whether it be surgery, whether it be chemo, radiation, both. Maybe we didn't have that, and maybe we're on hormone therapy now. So like all of these different things, I should say, tamoxifen. So we're in all these different things. So we want to have better physical health. And I think that's a wonderful goal to have. And then less than, 5%, they want to learn a new hobby, which I think is really cool. Practicing self-care and spending more time like with family and friends. And all of those are important for better health or better self. So let's just dig into this. Why do we think that these resolutions fail? Okay. A lot of the time, let me move this. A lot of the time, good habits that, especially ones that are drastically different from what our daily routine was, or typical lifestyle, are hard to get started for one, and even harder to keep. Okay. If I meet with somebody and they're like, I've never exercised before, it is that the hardest part is starting. Okay, because it is an unknown. It is something different than what we're used to. We might feel inadequate, awkward. It might hurt. So it's hard to start those habits, like eating healthy. People are like, I know what to, but it's just that thought of like, really, what does that mean? What does eating healthy mean? And in all actuality, it's an individual goal, or it's an individual definition. Eating healthy for one person can be different than eating healthy for another. And those are individual specific goals. So why do they fail? They're not specific enough. They're very vague in general. I want to lose weight. I want to start working out more. Okay, excellent goals, but they're not specific. Setting unreasonable goals and expectations. I want to be high school skinny by, February 30th. Well, there's not February 30th, by February 28th. Or I want to lose the weight I gained during the lockdown or during Rona. During quarantine, I want to lose that weight by March 1st. Okay. And that's a great goal, but it's unreasonable or unrealistic. And we'll talk about that in a minute. No accountability. Okay. If I have these goals lingering in my mind or in my head, and yeah, that sounds great. Weight loss. Okay. That sounds good. And I don't write them down, or I don't share them with somebody. I think it would be great if you had a friend, a buddy system, whether it be your husband, whether it be a great friend, whether it be a coworker, whether it could be a child, you have grandchildren, just being accountable and having somebody help hold you to that accountability. Okay. And then we have what we call this negative framing, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So the research says it takes approximately 66 days for a habit to become automatic. Okay. If we think of habits that we have in our daily life, when I always tell people we brush our teeth, I mean, we've always done that. We brush them at night, we brush them in the evening. Sometimes we brush them in the middle of the day, but that's a habit. And that is something that we automatically do. We don't even have to think about it. It is part of our routine. Like hygiene, washing our hair, taking a shower, those types of things, again, are just kind of automatic. All right. So when we're learning something new, we have to give ourselves that buffer. We have to give ourselves enough leeway and enough times of maybe not being 100% with what we think that we should be, and not knocking ourselves down, and just purging forward and keep going with our goals or our resolutions. Okay. So we'll hit this. So not specific enough. Like, okay, I want to eat better. I want to eat better. I want to lose weight. It doesn't provide enough traction. You don't get enough traction or motivation to go throughout the year when we do that. You have to be, if you're more specific, you have goals to attain. Okay. So specifically, all right, I want to start working out. Well, what does that look like to you? What does that look like to you? Okay. I'm going to work out 4 aerobic days a week. I'm going to do 3 strength training days, period. Okay. So perfect. That is something that's okay. We can get a calendar. I tell people, get a calendar out, circle 4 days aerobic, circle the other 3 day strength training, have that there present somewhere in your house. It could be, I have a calendar in my cabinet in my bathroom that I see, like when I'm taking out my hairspray or taking out, and it's there. So you see it, it's reinforced. It could be where your toothbrush is, because I said we do that twice a day. It could be anywhere that will actually trigger and remind you. Okay. So I want And I tell people to circle them on their calendars. When you're done, you check that off. It's a task. It's like it's organizing your day or organizing your weight loss or your physical activity journal. Okay. Maybe you want to hire a personal trainer 2 days a week for the first month, and then once a week you'll have that personal trainer once a week for the next 3 months. I mean, however you need to be more specific with that. I want to lose an average of a week, a pound a week if it's weight loss that we're going on, until I meet my initial goal. And initial goals really, and this we'll hit this a little bit later, but initial goals, especially if we're talking about weight loss, I guess we should cover this in a little bit, but anyway, initial weight loss should meet about 5% of what your current body weight is. And we'll hit that in a little bit. For example, if you're 220 pounds, your initial weight loss goal should be 11 pounds gone, and which take you to 209. All right. So that's being more specific, being more direct, and being more accountable. That will give us more accountability when we see those dates on our calendar and we're able to cross those off. Or if we hire that personal trainer and like, I'll see you every Wednesday for the next 3 months, or I'll see you Monday, Wednesday, however, that helps with you keeping and being more specific and being on target. Okay. All right. So setting these unrealistic goals, or unreasonable, I shouldn't say unrealistic, unreasonable goals are deceptively overwhelming. Okay. First of all, when we talk about goal setting at the beginning of the year, a lot of people want to do way too much all at once. Exercise, eat better, lose weight, more financially sound, every little thing, stop doing this, doing that. So I usually like people to think of it as a whole. We can have 12 goals. Okay. We can work on something each month, work on those that you want to form a habit and become lifelong. These resolutions are not just a quick fix for, the beginning of the year until we're fine. If we say we're going to become more physically fit, or if we're going to concentrate on eating healthier, it's not for just 3 weeks or 4 weeks or until I'm tired of this. I had whatever. I'm going back into the old habits. So we're trying to formulate a new habit. So look at everything that you want to do. I don't recommend all of them being done at one time, because then you have this enormous, overwhelming, deceptively overwhelming, not even deceptively, it's very overwhelming to have too many things that we're working on at one time. It's just like, projects at work. If you have, 20 projects going on at one time, you can't be the best at all of them. You kind of dabble in them. So let's just really do that. Unrealistic goals. I'm going to work out 7 days a week. I'm going to do an hour cardio and 30 minutes strength training every single day. That's unrealistic, or unreasonable, because what happens when you have day 7, you're working out, and day 6 and you don't feel that good, and you're like, I'm not going to go. I just don't feel good. All right. So then, oh my God, I said 7 and I gave myself 6. I failed miserably, and I can't do this. I suck. It's all bad. Okay. So what happens then? Then we start falling off the kilter. So then it's like, well, I did. That's okay. Then, what, this week I'll just start again, do it again later, or, maybe 6, maybe I just can't do it. Okay. So setting something up, for success rather than failure. People always come to me, and this is what I'm going to hit on with this, our Rona. I call it the Rona 10, 15, 20, whatever it is. It keeps getting bigger because this quarantine is longer. But I always tell people, even when the pandemic wasn't in place, when someone comes to me at the beginning of the year and they're like, okay, I have 50 pounds to lose. And I'm like, okay, great. So we set the incremental goals, and we as a society, as a nation, want immediate results. That's why all these beginning of the year, all these great quick weight loss programs are out there, and all these new fitness gadgets are out there, and they've got these fitness models showing you that you can look like this in 12 weeks or 15. So we have to think about our journey as, okay, I did not gain this weight. The pandemic is scary. It's almost our quarantine, like it's last March. I remember March 13th, where I was, is when we had to be quarantined. And then people were starting to stay at home. And weight started to gain. So it's been a year, and if you gain 10, if you gain 5, if you gain 50, I don't know, we can't expect our bodies to lose that in a matter of less than 5 or 6 or 8 weeks. Okay. So we have to set a goal of something that's realistic. And I've told you, I mean, a realistic, honest to goodness, when I meet with people, success in the weight loss world is losing a ½ pound to 2 pounds a week at most. Okay. Now, when we have, we have morbidly obese or we have a more to lose, those numbers are going to be a little bit higher in the beginning just because of what happens. We lose water. We're getting our body in sync with what we're doing. So in the beginning, yes, it may be higher, but we shouldn't consistently think we're going to lose 3 pounds or 5 pounds every single week. Okay. Drastic weight loss, if we're continuing to lose 3 and 5 pounds and you're doing this for a month or 6 weeks, I mean, that's a lot. That's too fast, too rapid. And people don't realize how detrimental rapid weight loss is. That's why those, we have bariatric surgery, but those patients are followed by a dietitian. They should be followed by a dietitian and their doctor during that rapid weight loss, because it's not really the healthiest way. It's not the best way for our bodies. So we need to be kind, okay? And we need to set those realistic goals. So people laugh at me when I get excited when they say I only lost a ½ pound or a pound, okay, so you only lose a pound a week. That's what they say, I only lost. But a pound a week times 52 weeks in a year, 52 pounds. And that's huge. And that's epic. Okay. And I've seen people do it. And at the end of that year, they're like, wow. And what do they learn at the end of that year is what we taught is eating healthier, developing these habits that we don't have to, that are not a struggle anymore. Okay. So being realistic, large deviations from that daily routine, again, causes stress. Okay. Stress, we have enough stress, we can't control it. We work, we get in a car accident, our health, that stress diagnosis, we can't control that. But when we are under high stress, this impairs self-control and ultimately reduces the likelihood of successful or permanent change. So we have to get out of that large deviation, and we have to do something, look at it a little bit differently. And we're going to hopefully do that shortly. Okay. Not being accountable. It is, a goal without accountability is like a relationship without a commitment. I didn't quote where I got that from, but I thought that was a great correlation or a great way to think about it. You have to be committed, and you have to have accountability. So rather than wishing to change a goal, you can take reality when the plan is implemented in a way that you will stick with it. Okay. So again, we go back to coworkers, or we go back to friends, or we go back to our spouses, or we go back to, maybe you find somebody else who wants to do the same thing or has same realistic goals or have the same kind of goal. I can't imagine that anyone would not, or your bodies, anybody's body, whether if they're exercise or not, benefit from any type of physical activity or increased physical activity. So find a buddy, find a partner, and it could be someone. It doesn't have to be someone that you talk to every day or see every day. It can be via Facebook. It could be Facebook messaging. You can formulate a group, and it could be, it could be me in Houston. It could be you in Georgia. It could be my sister in Indiana. It could be my cousin in New Mexico. So it can be all of us. That's really the cool thing about the social media, is that you can formulate your own personal group, your own page, and you guys be accountable that way. Like, be accountable. Like the accountability is, I'm going to weigh in every single Wednesday and share my weight with the group, or I'm going to report every Monday or report Friday what my past week was. And journaling it. You can journal that, and you have that journal to look back on if you do that privately. But when you're in a group, you sometimes, or I sometimes, struggle with things, and you'll be surprised that other people are struggling with the same type of thing. So it's a support group as well. All right. So negative framing is meaning like negative language, like can't or stop or won't. Like I'm going to stop wasting money is less effective than I'm going to stick to a budget this year. I won't eat any red meat, isn't as effective as I'm going to cut back on red meat consumption. Those negative connotations are, it's just like the word diet almost. I'm going to start a diet. Bad word because a diet has a lot of negative connotation with it. A diet means, starvation, deprivation, misery, anger, resentment to those that are following a diet. So that's another word. I should have put that in there, but, or I can't drink wine during the week isn't as effective as I will, just keep my wine consumption to maybe a Friday or Saturday night. Okay. So being more on the positive end of that will actually have that benefit for you on the back end of everything. Okay. Okay. So tips for keeping our resolution. Okay. We are going to be as specific as we can with these goals. All right. And I gave some examples before. All right. I want them to be reasonable goals. Again, I gave you the example as, if you haven't exercised or if you haven't thought about eating healthy or had to lose weight before, because of the pandemic, more people are realizing like, oh, I've never had to do this before. Then we need to be set realistic type goals. I'm going to start journaling my food intake, or I am going to, if we haven't exercised, we really need to think about, what would be realistic. I always, it's not realistic to say I'm going to go out there. All right, Lisa, I'm going to exercise. Yes, I'm going to do that. I am. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you 5 days a week and I'm going to go 45 minutes each time on the elliptical or the treadmill. All right. So first of all, the first 45 minutes, you get on that treadmill. A lot of times people will get on the treadmill and they'll do that 45 minutes. They'll feel amazing. The second day they go in there and they're like, ugh. The third day it's a chore. The fourth day, like, not going to happen. So I always set, if we haven't done it in a while, or what we tend to sometimes load for those that have been active in the past, and I know a lot of you, have prior to diagnosis and treatment. We always think about what we used to be able to do, and we set that as a standard. And we think that we should automatically go step into that standard. Well, I used to be able to run a 5K, in 25 minutes, or I used to be able to, but it's been a while. Okay. And especially with diagnosis, and especially with treatment, especially anything that deals with the cancer diagnosis, any type of treatment. I mean, your body has taken a hit, one from the cancer, one from the treatment, one from surgeries. I mean, so we've been dormant. I mean, if we've had surgery, we're not allowed to go out. We're not supposed to be running marathons or running 5Ks. We need time for our bodies to rest and recover. So be very generous with yourself. I usually say 5 minutes the first week. 5 minutes. You can do it as many times, a week as you want to, but 5 minutes is where we start, and we gradually increase that. Okay. Until we get to a comfortable place. I don't want to focus all on exercise, but I do want to say that, exercise is one of those things that has been scientifically proven to decrease your chance of recurrence. So exercise outside of anything else is something that, I am the dietitian and we will hit on the food, but exercise is goal. And it doesn't have to be running marathons. It can be, walking up and down the stairs at home. It can be walking around the block. It could be walking to the end of the driveway and back, depending on what you have or have not done. So that's about one. Be specific. Limit the number of resolutions that you make. I talked about that. It's better to hone in on one at a time. I like for people to kind of pick a couple that are most, they're all important, or they won't be resolutions, but that need to take precedent. Okay. We need to get in that habit of eating better or eating healthier, the habit of, paying attention to, working out or exercise, being physically fit. So I like to go like monthly, we can say for this month, I'm going to focus on getting all my fruits and vegetables in. That's a positive. This month, I'm going to make sure that I burn so many calories with each activity that I do. You know, that's reasonable. That's fun. And what we're going to do is we're going to really put some time and effort into planning. So, you know, get your calendar for the year, get that calendar out. You know, if it is a weight loss goal, weigh yourself feasibly, you know, realistically look at, you know, if we look at 3 months down the line, you know, if I set a pound a week, which is amazing, that's 12 pounds in 3 months, which is good. It's a very good goal. Depending on our starting point is, we're going to start with those small steps, like I talked about with the exercise. With food too, and I'll give you some tips a little bit, like what we can do, just real easy things to make our intake better. You got to change. Change is a process. Okay. With change comes failure, and we can't beat ourselves up on it, over it. I'll just give you my mom as an example, as growing up before as a dietitian and watching her, because she always struggled with weight, that she would start her diet on Monday. Mondays were the day. Okay. She would start her diet on Monday, eat little bitty rabbit portions. Like, I don't even know how she found, like itty bitty, like she was a baby, like 3 times a day, starve herself, deprive herself, be miserable. Wednesday would come, she might be making something for us kids, and she would eat something that wasn't part of her very strict regimen. She would feel like she failed. And then she would self-annihilate herself. Oh my God. I watched it, and then she like, screw it. Forget it. I'm just going to start again. I'll start fresh again on Monday. So that mentality at that point, and I watched her do it, is like, then from Wednesday to Monday, it was all just haphazard and willy-nilly. And she went completely off kilter. And then by Monday, it was more of a struggle again. So it was that bouncing, was that setting too great of, being too restrictive, setting too high of a goal, just like, you know, exercising too hard, or, you know, it could be the money thing. You know, if we were like, I want to stick to a budget, you know, if you budget yourself too little, then you have no wiggle room and no extra money to have fun, whether what your fun is, you know, dinner, or their fun is buying new clothes, whatever it is. So we have to keep it in that realistic, but the change is a process. And every day when we make these little changes, it obviously will add up to big things in the end. Okay. And then get your support, you know. So for instance, you know, if you want help with diet or help with eating healthier, you know, I am working at TurningPoint. I am there, and I see Zoom patients on Wednesday afternoons. You know, if you're needing help with that, any kind of support, I'm there. Mental support. We have social worker. We have great counselor there. So we have resources, or you have resources right at the tips of your fingers through TurningPoint. And you have amazing physical therapists that can tell you, okay, yes, this is how you can strength train within your realm of than your diagnosis, I should say. So you've got great resources. So get the support that you want and you need. You know, some people, there's a lot of great, you know, there are good support via Facebook. There's some really good support. You can when you Google or look for anything, look for people that have credentialing, and look for people that know what they're talking about. You know, if you join a group, you know, exercise group, make sure that person, you know, has some kind of credibility behind their name. Okay. So end of the day. Okay. I'm talking faster than I thought. So these reasonable goals that we're going to set, again, if it's eating healthy, if it's, you know, what I see all the time is that people will say, well, I've done every single diet under the sun. And I'm just going to specifically talk about food right now, but every diet I've done, the keto, I've done Atkins, I've done caveman, or whatever that was called. So yes, we have. And why didn't they work? Okay. They were too restrictive. There was too many rules, too many. they are not sustainable. I don't want to say they don't work. Anything like that will work, because in all reality, we're not even realizing how restrictive that it was. So, you know, the Atkins diet back in the day, and everyone was excited because, oh my gosh, it worked, and oh my gosh, carbs are bad, and oh my gosh. And so where are they now? You know, if we have a diet, and I'm going to pick on that one, and it could be the keto, I guess, the same. But, you know, when we eliminate a whole food group, so we eliminate, you know, in the Atkins, you know, the carbs were bad, kind of with keto, like carbs are not good. You know, we can't do the bread and everything. What we're not realizing is we're eliminating, you know, a serving of a carbohydrate, what we generally account for is about 80 calories. So, you know, if you were carb heavy before and you eliminated all that, and you could eat all the protein that you wanted, all the meat that you wanted, you know, all the vegetables, which is one good thing. But, you know, you're eliminating a lot of calories. And a lot of the, especially like with Atkins, it was really calorie restrictive, though people thought that they were eating a lot, okay, because they were eating all that protein and the fats and stuff. So anytime a diet or diet, because that's that word, tells you that you have to eliminate whole food groups and that they are bad, we have to really think about that. And, you know, I will say, yes, some people are sensitive to gluten and they can't do, you know, certain carbs, but carbohydrates are energy and our fuel. So we need to make sure that we have them on a daily basis. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, small steps. All right, so itty bitty incremental steps. And we're going to hit on this one with the next slide about what we can do now. Like, instead of setting this big precedent, what can we do now to make things better on the back end? Okay, so simple steps to becoming a healthier you. All right, I think becoming healthy is a goal, is an amazing, beautiful, super goal. And, you know, it doesn't have to be very hard. So I set, like, what if somebody said, Lisa, give me 4 things. And I like 4 things because it filled up my screen here, but 4 things. First thing I would say is make sure you're hydrating. Okay, that is what we all forget, like hydrate. I'm telling you, that is a goal for me this year, is because I will continue to talk and not stop and drink what I should be drinking. So ultra hydrate, make sure you're hydrating. When I meet with patients, I generally will tell them what their fluid needs are in a day, and that is our goal to achieve that. All right, so nobody can go wrong unless you are, you know, a renal patient and on fluid restriction. Nobody can go wrong with drinking more fluids. Okay, water. Okay, there we are, is a bag of fruits and vegetables. You cannot go wrong with eating fruits and vegetables. Vegetables are so low calorie, the non-starchy vegetables, that some of them actually take more energy to munch and burn and digest than they are actually worth. So fruits and vegetables, those should be present at every meal that we have. You know, we should have a fruit with every meal, and vegetables, we should go willy-nilly with those. You can do as many vegetables, you know, breakfast, people are like, vegetables, but you can take mushrooms, and you can take onions and green pepper in a skillet with a little bit of cooking spray and just saute those down. And then you could take those and add those to anything. I mean, you can even put them, if you had a slice of whole grain bread, even with a slice of reduced fat cheese, and put them on top. That is a kind of a cheese toast kicked up a couple of notches, or 1 notch, you know. So you can do that. And what I usually like for people to do, and what's an easy way, you know, when you come home from the grocery store, you know, we buy all this stuff. At the beginning of the year, everyone's buying. And then I get a lot of people like, I waste it. It ends up spoiling, and it ends up. So when we come home from the grocery store, you know, I don't like putting stuff away. You know, that's like, nobody likes to put groceries away. So I will usually take all my lettuces that I take, my vegetables that I take, carrot, all whatever, and I will chop them up. So carrots, I'll buy whole carrots. I'll peel them, I'll slice them, I'll put them in a bag. Celery, same thing. My lettuce, I always pre-spin. I keep it in a crisper in the refrigerator. You can chop onions, you can chop peppers, you can do, and if you don't want to do it then, you can meal prep that for Sunday night. Is huge, because then in the morning, if you're making an egg white, you know, you can even microwave an egg white, believe it or not, you know, do that in the microwave, make a scrambled egg. You have all those vegetables ready for you to throw to throw in there. You know, they sell those things now. They sell little containers of mushrooms, green pepper, and onion, like, but and maybe some cheese. I don't know, but I saw them. I'm like, whoa, that's clever. But that's has a lot of preservatives. There's a lot of other extra fluff in that. So why don't I just do it at home? It takes literally minutes, you know, to prepare ahead for that. Your fruit, same thing. Fruit, you don't really have a lot more prep with that. You know, you can grab an apple, wash an apple, eat an apple. An orange, you can slice an orange, eat an orange. Banana, same thing. But have those readily accessible. You know, if you realize that you can't go through enough fruit, I am okay, fine with frozen fruit in the, you know, keeping it in the freezer. I'm okay, fine with even keeping on hand a fruit cup that's in its own juices. Keep that just so you get in the habit of having your fruit with every single meal. Okay. Ideally, yes, we have this fresh picked fruits. Same with vegetables, but realistically, I mean, we all can't do that. So next best thing would be frozen if we can get that. All right. The other thing I tell people is just to increase your physical activity. I don't even, you know, if you're just new to all this, I don't care if it's just a simple walk. Getting out of the house, especially since we've been quarantined for so long, just getting out, walking. I don't care if it's to the end of the driveway or if it's around the block or if it's across the street and back. Just getting out, just removing yourself from the inside, going outside, getting fresh air, a huge mindset. Okay. And then the other thing, and this is like the random, because I'm like, what thing can we start cutting back on that would be beneficial? I mean, I have a list, but my first one would be added sugar. And I've talked about sugar in the past, but added sugar is one that now we have the ability to control that. And I'm not talking sugar added to, like, you know, I'm adding sugar to my coffee, or I'm talking about in a food label, adding sugar, or sugar that's added, because our food labels now are going to give us the key. They give us the key. They give us the answer to the test. It tells us how many grams of added sugar is in that food product. So that can be a habit that we get into, is looking at all of our food labels, looking at how much added sugar is in everything, even something that you don't think would have added sugar. Look at the label. Get into that habit of doing that, because you'll find added sugar in the things where you're like, I can't believe, like, seriously. So look at that. The American Institute for Cancer Research does recommend that we keep our females, so us females here, keep our sugar consumption to less than 6 teaspoons a day. And I know that sounds crazy, high to some, but I want you to pay attention to all that you're taking in now. I want you to start measuring and paying attention. We can control how much that we add, but the things that are added to our food, it's added to things, you know, to enhance the flavor. So that is on the food label. 6 teaspoons is equal to 24 grams, and grams is what's listed on the label. If you want to visualize a teaspoon, what I tell people to do, or what you need to do, is you look on the label and say it says there's 10 grams of sugar, added sugar. Then you take that.
I'm not sure what happened there. Looks like Lisa's computer maybe malfunctioned. We'll give her a minute to log back on. But while we're waiting for Lisa, does anyone have any questions? You can type it in the chat box here, or the question and answer box, and we can answer those after the presentation. I'm going to message Lisa and just see if everything's okay. Oh, Lisa said her computer died. She's coming back on. Sorry, everybody. All right. Thanks for the question, Sandy. Sandy asked, should we reevaluate goals? And if so, how often? So as soon as Lisa gets back on, we will answer that question. Thanks, everybody, for being patient. All right, she should be coming on any minute. Thanks again, guys, for joining us here today. I see we have several people. All right, there's Lisa. She's coming back on. All right.
Sorry about that. Hold on, you guys.
No problem. And we got one question while you were away.
Okay, go ahead. Now I'm going to try to get this back up here.
Okay, so Sandy's asking, should we reevaluate goals? And if so, how often do you suggest?
Excellent question. Let's see. I'm trying to get this back on. I really didn't have any more slides, but I wanted to get hold on one second, please, Sandy, and I'll answer that. Let's see, share. No. Okay. All right, Sandy, I'm getting there. Okay, so the question was to reevaluate goals. Yeah, I would I usually, like I said, I use incremental goals. So I set small attainable goals, and then once we meet that goal, then we reset. So like, I keep reverting back to the weight loss, but like, 10% of the goal, 5% of your body weight should be your initial goal. Once you reach that goal, then we attain that goal, and then we reassess, because sometimes people will be like, I'm good at this weight, or I'm good at this number, and then, but if not, then we can reassess, and then we set the next goal. So it would be the same thing as far as it would, like with any other, like with physical fitness. Like, so if we decided we're going to do 3 days a week, realistically 3 days a week, and we're gonna work out 30 minutes, and I'm going to do this for month 1, 2, and 3. So January, February, March. In March, then you can reassess and say, okay, I think I can give more time, and I think I can work out harder. So then we increase those numbers. Okay. Then we get to a point. I mean, I don't want people at the gym for hours and hours, or working out for like hours and hours a day. So what you do, you build up, you ramp up, you get to where you need to be. And then, you can do a lot, you can burn a lot more calories in 30 minutes of interval training than you can just like running an hour period. So then we start looking at ways that we can be more efficient with our time at the gym. But that comes later, once we attain our habit of going to the gym. Okay, so I hope that answers the question. They should be reevaluated, and I usually like to put timeframes on to reevaluate them. And it all depends on what it is. It could be the month, it could be end of month, and see where you feel, and then go forward. But no more than like 3 months apart. You should, like, every 3 months, check in with what your goal, see if you are on track with what your goals are. And most of the time, if they're realistic goals or reasonable, I hate to say, then you have attained them, you know, and you can move forward. We should always reward ourselves for reaching a goal. And I don't mean reward ourselves by eating, obviously. We can reward ourselves by, you know, what is it that we like to do? You know, it could be going and buying a new article of clothing. I mean, it can be treating ourselves to new running shoes or walking shoes, or maybe even new socks, or, you know, whatever, you know, that makes what your goals are, to help attain those goals. Okay, I hope that answers the question. All right, so what, like, after that, I found this slide. I use this every year. Only 8% of people succeed at their New Year's resolution. So let's not try to be that 92% that doesn't. And it's just a matter of how we set them in our mind, in our state of mind when we're going through. So that leads us to our turning point. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, we'll take a few minutes to check the Q&A box. And Sandy says, my question was answered. Thank you.
You're welcome. My question to everybody after this, are we gonna change our goals, or cut back on some of our goals, or set time frames, you know, sit back and set attainable time frames. So we can look at it that way.
I honestly have not made any goals yet, so that is one of my goals.
You don't have to make goals. You know, yeah. I'll be honest, I didn't really make a whole bunch, you know, of goals. I do have some. Mine are, yeah.
Yes, I was on top of it last year, but this year I haven't got around to it yet. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I've never, you know, I've never written them down, physically written them down. And that helps, because I did that this year. Wrote them down. And so when you have them, if you journal, I mean, journaling, I don't know if anyone journals. I mean, their journaling, it helps many on many levels, but journaling that journey of, you know, getting back into, or getting yourself back, especially post-diagnosis, is huge. And it's a step-by-step process. And I know like, after everything is done, I know a lot of people are like, it's done, and let's just get straight back to life. And it's not that easy. And then it becomes very overwhelming, because things are different and they change. So, you know, journaling about that helps tremendously. And so the journey back into eating healthier, or the journey back into physical activity, or our life in general is huge. I
agree. And Marilyn says that it helps her to set an action plan to go with her goals. So she's on the same page there.
She's so good. Action plans. That is great. That is so great. That is awesome.
Yeah. And another attendee says, my goal is to set reasonable and attainable goals. That's great.
Yes. That is excellent. Because we can do them. If it's a reasonable goal, we can do it. You know, I feel like, you know, but I like running marathon. I mean, I do. But I just don't say, you know, there's a marathon next week here in Houston. I'm like, I'm not going to go run it. You know, it takes a lot of week of training. And so it's the same thing. You know, you can set that, like, I'm going to run a marathon this year, or I'm going to run a 5K or 10K. We just don't go, you know, like, that's why we have the Couch to 5K program. You know, it's really a cool thing. It takes you along that journey of getting there, which is like that in anything. So perfect. Yay.
All right. Oh, wait, do we have another question? Oh, yeah, here we go. An action plan for goals. Somebody said they like.
Yay.
Woohoo!
That is good. I think I'll be completely transparent and honest. I've got all of those, like with food and exercise. It's my organization that Lisa's has to work on. Like, why didn't I plug my laptop in before
Yeah.
why didn't I look at my battery? I usually always do. So it's like my fault, but we got there.
It happens. Oh,
Seriously. Oh, it's so good. It's all good. It's all good.
yes, it is. So let's see here. We'll go ahead and close the Q&A box. But again, you guys, if you have any questions, you can always email it to us as well. But just want to say thank you so much, Lisa, for your presentation. And we answered those questions. But again, if you have any more questions or if you want to schedule a one-on-one with Lisa, you can always email us at staff@myturningpoint.org. And thank you so much for attending today, attendees. As a reminder, the presentation will be posted on our Facebook page, also our YouTube page, and you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And so just a reminder, Turning Point is committed to the support and the recovery of breast cancer patients through survivorship education. Please feel free to express your appreciation of this complimentary program through a donation at myturningpoint.org. We are excited to announce that you can easily donate through our PayPal account. And again, everyone, thank you so much for joining, and we hope you have a great day. Thanks again,
Bye,
Lisa.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.